What's up, everybody? Welcome to Don't Give Up with Jacob. Today, I have a special guest joining me on my show. Not only that, but he's also a business investor and he's very, very talented. So please give a warm welcome to Kevin Rapper. Yeah. So I have a lot of questions to ask you about
Okay,
what you do and your everyday life. Sounds good?
sounds great.
All right. So first off, I heard that you were a business investor.
Yes, I invest in startup businesses. That's something I started doing during COVID and had a lot of imposter syndrome about it. So I started learning more and more, and now about 12 companies that I'm actively investing with right now, and I advise four other companies. So 16 total.
Wow, sounds interesting. So I'm basically going to be asking you what inspired you to be a business investor? Like, how'd you start this career?
Okay. Can I start way back at the beginning when I was 15?
All right, sounds good.
Okay, so I started off designing for theater, and I was very successful in theater. I won a Kennedy Center Award when I was an undergraduate college. Um, then in the year 2000, I moved to Manhattan and started doing television, and spent from then until COVID doing TV shows and films, uh, 80 plus hours a week. And we got to COVID and everything shut down. And that was the first time since I was 15, I was idle. And I realized that making TV and film wasn't what I really wanted to do with my life. I had just received a lot of validation for that and felt safe there. And I started to explore other things. And it turns out I really like problem solving. And it doesn't have to be visual problem solving, which is what I was doing designing for TV. I like all sorts of problem solving. So sometimes it's an approach to something, sometimes it's putting the right people together. It's all sorts of approaches. So I don't know, got really brave and decided to change everything in my life.
Wow, sounds very interesting. I'm glad you went for that little turn in your life. I also want to be a very, very popular and talented author and illustrator who has numerous books, numerous merchandise, numerous movies, and even a balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. It's going to take a little while, but maybe if you invest some of my businesses, maybe you could help me out.
Definitely. I would love to see a balloon that's got Jacob on. I think Jacob would be an amazing character for your books.
Yeah, I think so too. And speaking of being a business investor, have you like started any businesses yet? I mean,
Of
uh,
my own?
uh, probably.
Yeah, so businesses I've started, I have one business called the Venture Catalyst, which is the business I use to support and invest in other founders. And then another business I started recently is called the Fulcrum, which is how I met Natasha. Well, part of the reason I met Natasha, who I think you spoke with last week. Um, I had been using some leadership assessment tools like DISC and Ocean, and then started playing with the Myers-Briggs, the MBTI, as a way to try and determine how pre-seed investors, sorry, founders might function a year down the road. And then I started exploring two other assessments as well. And I ran into this guy, Randall, who was building an app. He has two autistic children, and it was to help them better understand their schoolwork. And I have autism spectrum, ADHD, autism
Mhm.
and ADHD. I have that. And he sent it to me, and I had a hard time using his program, and he had his team rebuild it for my brain. And then I started running all those other assessments through the app he built. And from that, we started building Fulcrum to help people communicate better. So that's a company that I've started in the past few months.
Wow. sounds very, very interesting if you ask me. I also want to have a super duper well-known business because once I get like a book, a movie, or merchandise, everyone's gonna know. Hey, it's my good friend Jacob. Wow, I've heard of this guy. Super awesome. I love Jacob. So yeah, that's basically what I want my company to be known for. I want Don't Give Up with Jacob to be internationally known. I want my podcast to be known. I want my books to be well known. It's going to take a little while, but I need to speak it all into existence. I shouldn't wish it. I should say it will happen because it is going to happen because good things take time. And I shouldn't let the good things rush. I should let them take some time because there might be some frustration and struggling along the way with getting those good things to happen, but in the end, it'll definitely all be worth it.
Yeah, can I tell you something about frustration and struggling that I've learned this past 2 years?
Go ahead.
I've started to be more grateful for those two things because they're what helped me evolve and grow. If things were easy, I would never do that hard growth stuff.
Wow. So true. If I would have given up with everything that I'm doing, then I bet I wouldn't even be here by now. So that's why I have to speak it all into existence, keep going and following my dreams, and letting good things take time. And most importantly, not giving up, because that's what leads to true success, right?
I agree. I agree. I think you have a lot of resilience.
Yeah, I really do. And speaking of you having AuDHD, which is autism and ADHD, what are some struggles that you have with living with that neurodiversity?
Um, Struggles. Uh, I've always had a real hard time with emotions and feelings. I'm very good at analytical approach. I actually have a coach now who's helping me with some of that because oftentimes I come in and try and analyze and solve problems, and it doesn't work so well with people like it does with software or businesses. Um, I set a lot of alarms nowadays. I probably have hundreds of alarms on my phone, so I'll set one 5 minutes before I need to be there and one at the time I need to be there. And otherwise, I'm time blind and I'll look up and it'll be 3 hours later. I don't know. There's lots of little things that I used to fight against that I'm starting to be aware of and embrace now that they make me feel a lot more comfortable in my skin, just being okay with them.
That's definitely pretty tough.